I was going for about 15, 20 minutes and all of a sudden the thing just died.
No! Yeah.
So, Janet.
Yes.
What's your name, Janet?
My name is Janet Petit and I'm the Community Engagement Coordinator at Richmond, Tweed region.
Cool. Why?
Why?
Yeah, what did you do it for?
What did I do it for?
Yeah, why did you join here?
Because it was a fantastic opportunity to use all the skills that I've gained from teaching and from health promotion, and yeah, I love it.
Yeah, you've never been to Albury, have you?
Sorry?
You've never been to Albury because Albury rocks.
No, it doesn't.
It's interesting actually coming back to Lismore and coming back with a set of eyes that really haven't looked at it for 5 years.
Yeah.
I've gone, Joe. What did you get out of yesterday?
Yesterday was great because I haven't been there for probably 6 months to, 3 months to one of their meetings, and it was really good to hear and go over where we came from to where they're at now, and I'm really blown away with how much they've taken it upon themselves and developed strategies for their community, but it's much more than I ever thought we'd get out of, that committee.
Well, so you went to all the meetings with Chris as well? Or? Did you? Okay.
No, sorry, not all of the meetings. So I stopped going probably about June, July, because I believe when you start these community groups, you really need to step back. And it was a bit of a problem in the first few meetings. They relied on me because I was the one who set it up with the meetings and the dates and times and reminders to attend. And I had to say to Carla and to, what's wrong?
Nothing. Don't worry about him.
I thought he was saying talk up or something.
No. He doesn't exist.
So I actually had to say to them, look, I need to step back now. You need to, really start organising the meetings and look at your strategies, etc. And they didn't want to do that at first. They wanted me to see it through the whole year. And I think Carla and Jeffrey talked, amongst themselves and thought, no, we can do this, and we've still got Chris coming along. And so I actually stepped right back and let them, plan what they wanted to do. Yeah.
Did you go in uniform?
Yes, I did go in uniform.
Blue or orange?
Blue.
Blue, okay. Just because you felt comfortable in it, or?
When we go out to the community, that's part of our
That's your, okay. So that's
our
local.
rule.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
fine. Okay, whatever. How did you first find out about the group?
In 2011 and 2012, we had major flooding in the Tweed area, and particularly in the Tumbulgum area. And after the floods, because they were quite hammered, they had water, going right through their properties. And we decided to call a community meeting after the last flood in the 2012, and to hear, what their problems were, what they thought, what we could do better, and in what we could improve on, and what we want to do to make sure it doesn't happen again. And from that, they said we'd like to get together a community group or a flood-safe group so that we can talk about different ways that we can warn our community or educate our community about being, flood-safe. So I set a date, booked the local, we started at the hall, but it was better to be more casual, and so we just did it at the local pub, which is a central point in Tumbulgum. So we met there and looked at what the needs were, what they thought, and that's how the Tumbulgum Flood Safe group, set off. We put ads in the local paper in the Tweed link to get people to be on that committee, and out of that, Carla from UKI saw that ad.
All right.
And so Carla phoned me to say, I'd really like, to come on board. And I said, are you a part of Tumbulgum? She said, no, UKI. So it was a different town. I realised, wow, we've got another issue and, another town wanting us. So I said to her, look, I need to establish this Tumbulgum group and get it going, and then we'll come and work with you at UKI. So that's how it evolved.
All right. Take me through your first meeting with them.
Right, the first with UKI. So we put the ads in the local little newsletter at UKI, and we also advertised, or expressions of interest we called it, into their post office boxes to see if anyone wanted to come along. We invited Chris, who was the unit controller, and Shannon, who is from Tweed Council, and myself, and we had about 8 members who put up their hand. And the instigator was Carla, who had issues in one of the floods where she was isolated, and she had a daughter who had asthma. And she realised there were concerns with isolation and if we needed to get her daughter or anyone out in an emergency. So that's how it all began. And that first meeting was really introducing everyone, and where they came from, what they wanted to get out of a group, and to look at, what they needed for their community. It actually went, it was 2.5 hours, because all of them had a story and what they wanted to see happen. And from that, they were very excited, and we went and had another meeting like a month later. And I think we were meeting monthly up until about June, July. And I think it started to, it's not as frequent anymore.
Okay. So once the war stories have got out of the way, which is good, because I reckon that's it's sort of like singing a song. They all come together, you sing your song together, and you join together. The church has been doing it for 1,000 years. How did you then start progressing past the war stories and actually start looking at, well, what do we actually really want to accomplish? You've probably come up with a loose concept of saying, we want to do something here, but so we come to that point, we make that decision, we want to do something. What is that something?
Well, they needed to know, well, when the river's rising, or the creek behind UKI is rising, what to do. And it was I'm thinking in my head, well, that's like a intelligence card, at so many metres, we need to really, warn our community that this water's rising. When it gets to however many metres, we really need to start thinking, is my home emergency kit packed? Have I got one? And be prepared in case they are isolated again. So they were saying, wow, that's a good idea. We could call it a 5-step, I don't know what they call it,
Action plan.
Yeah, action plan. And that's how that started. And it actually, with Chris on board, he actually took it a step further and sort of developed the whole idea with his incident action plans. So it evolved from there. It went from 5 steps to another name. And so things that have started in this group have actually evolved. And they're like fluid documents, and they see something better, and so they'll include that in and improve it. Okay. Yeah.
All right. One of the things I'm seeing in the similarities here, with you and Quitty, I went to their meeting and it was a total nutter. I sat down, right, in my mind, what the hell do I do now? And it was a case of, I gave them a map. When did you introduce a map? Did you introduce a map?
Yes. So what happened, I said to them, well, where do you actually flood in UKI? What are your main areas? And so we decided, yes, we need a map. And we didn't have one with us there and then. And they were talking about this causeway, this creek, and I had no idea. And Chris knew, because that's his area. So we decided, next meeting, let's bring along a map, and we'll look at these pockets where they get cut off and isolated, and that's what we did. And from that, we realised we needed more of not only an action plan for UKI, the town, but we realised, hang on, there's all these little satellite parts of UKI that get cut off by the causeways around them. So we realised, we need to have some type of communication with these people as a warning, like a phone tree. And that's how the phone tree started to develop. And then from that, they decided, let's not call them satellite groups, let's call them neighbourhood groups, which was more in style with UKI. So they've got about 9 or 10 neighbourhood groups, and they need then to actually go and ask people in those areas, would they like to be on this committee or a neighbourhood coordinator who could then connect with the people in their little neighbourhood when an event happens. So that's how that came about. So the map was really important to target where the risks were, and from that a strategy evolved.
Okay. How does this work for the SES? What does it mean to the SES as far as Richmond Tweed goes operational? We've got a 565 mil rain dumped over 3 days up in the upper Tweed catchment like we had 2006 or whatever year, thousands of years ago it was. And we know that the situation up there is bad. What does it really mean to the SES to have a community reference group up there?
I think it's vital, because if you think about the Mooloolaba unit, that's the unit that would respond to Yukai, they've only got 40 members and they haven't got enough people to help their whole area. So to develop resilience in that little town so that they can look after themselves is just magic, because then we know that they're safe, we know that they know what to do, and the members in Mooloolaba can be helping other people in their area. So to the SES, building resilience in these small communities is, I think, such a high importance, because we're helping our communities look after themselves until we can get to them.
Okay. This is actually a question probably like if you haven't had before. Operationally to a regional headquarters, you're now the public information officers, all right? What's it mean in when your OC is up and running? How do you deal with these groups?
I actually have these groups set up on an email my portal list. So if we knew that, Cyclone Oswald, for instance, was going to be affecting the area, I would be sending out information through my portal to the coordinators that are in that town.
Do you have like a procedure that you can follow up here? Say a volunteer comes in to relieve you as a PIO or whatever. How do they know what to do, who to communicate with, and for situational awareness in that area?
So we've written
so we've got flood action cards for the unit now.
I'll interview you separate. All right. So is your time?
Is this microphone on?
You won't pick you up.
Because the bar's opening at 11 o'clock.
What time's it now?
20 past 10.
It only take you 5 minutes.
Yes,
All right. So from your position, do you know?
From a
or
public-
does that really chads?
Well, from a public information officer position, like if someone's coming in and say I'm not working the night shift, I've actually got a standard operating procedure of what they need to do to send out media alerts or information. And on that list I've said, I've put in there anything to do with Tweed, the Tweed area, you need to include them on the My Portal list, so everything goes out to them, any warnings.
Okay. Generally, the warnings goes out as an SMS to them, or?
Email or an email. Actually, I think with Yukai, it's Chris who does it.
All right.
But with Timbolgum, they're on My Portal.
Okay.
Chris wanted to be the one to...
Chris will contact his coordinator and forward them the warnings and whatever, and then their duty is to notify the people in their area, their little designated area of command. But then we've also got pre-prepared polygons for emergency alerts, for warnings and evacuations.
All right.
They were quite concerned about that too.
Yeah, they're concerned about the terminology.
Okay.
But
I was speaking to Carla and Jeffrey, and they said they could understand it, but it went against everything, of developing the neighbourhoods.
Exactly right. And the only reason we're going to deploy those emergency alerts is if it's a redundancy in case for some reason the coordinators fall over. You might get a coordinator who has to go to hospital during that period or whatever. So if we notice that strategy is failing, then we'll deploy the emergency alert.
Yep.
But what we'll do is we'll still deploy the warning alert only because tourists transiting through or whatever will capture it, and they know that flooding's imminent, they should depart the village or be prepared to stay there for a few hours.
So the polygon, but it won't pick up tourists because their phones will be registered.
It does now.
Oh, good.
Anyone within that range.
Yeah, that's great.
Yep.
But
Alrighty. Do you guys exercise this as a regional centre? And the answer to this is probably going to be no, because I don't think anyone does. And it's not in any shape or form a finger point or criticism. But one of the things we need to be able to do is look at how we actually use this information as in a tute. You know?
So the answer is no, but the answer is, in short, it's no, but yes, it should be.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Didn't that take off?
He's just gone to the shops to do the mail and bring it back.
No, he came in and said he's going. I said, oh, hang on a minute, I'll come with you.
Oh, right. Where did he go? Because he was going to go a while ago, so...
It's getting his mail or something too.
He's going to the mail, yeah, just the Ganella. But
See,
the answer is it should be exercised and integrated in our procedures
In the regional plan.
I've started, I've got the caravan parks all on my portal, and I've sent out the bomb warnings to them already, and that works. And one of them has done a practice evacuation, which was fantastic. It worked really well.
Okay.
Did you mention the website as well for you, Colin? You haven't mentioned that yet.
No.
No, but they did, didn't they?
They did, yes, they went through it.
Okay, right.
Got it later. Is there anything else you think of?
I think it's important that if you're setting up a group like that and you've gone through those initial teething stages where it's muddy and then you've stepped back, it's still important to go back every now and again. So it was good that I went up yesterday and visited them and touched base.
Coffee or anything like that?
Yes.
Cut!
Cut!